Hey, this is Alexa Peterson with the Hitting Vault. I'm doing a swing analysis on Kris Bryant. So let's get started. Starting stance, he's pretty vertical with his torso. Has a lot of knee bend. His feet are pretty straight. Eyes are nice and level. Barrel is a little bit lower than where his hands are. Right there. He goes into his load. We see his barrel start working more vertical. Going up this way a little bit. Front shoulder is working down and in. Back shoulder's working up as that barrel is becoming more vertical. Picks up that leg. He doesn't really have a really high leg kick, and overall he's pretty simple with his movement. Going from his starting stance to leg kick. Pitch is released. Takes his stride forward. Which isn't very big because he starts with his legs actually pretty wide. And we'll see a side view so you can see his starting stance from the side. Gets to his launch position. Right there when his front heel hits. He's got his knob down towards the catcher. Front shoulder is slightly lower than his back shoulder. This is down and kind of down and in a little bit with his eyes still pretty level. One thing I noticed too about his back foot, if you see like hitter like him and Trout, those are two hitters that tend to scissor. I've noticed have that full heel kind of on the ground, almost leaning in a little bit more. So we see, if you just take a look at his back heel right here. So he goes forward, look at that movement, how he almost internally rolls into his arch. Kind of that rolling action in. And then his heel kind of comes up. Whereas hitters like Betts, for example, who really rotate and don't have that back foot kind of come back and scissor, his heel is actually a little bit up when he gets to that launch position, or at least a little bit higher, and he's more on like his toe a little bit starting to turn. So that was just something that I've noticed in doing a lot of swing analyses. So we get to his launch position, got good torso tilt, leaned over, it's not vertical. We want to make sure that even if you start pretty upright, pretty vertical, it's important that when you get to your launch position, you have torso tilt so you can adjust to different pitches and stay on plane better. Because if you're vertical, it's going to make your bat go into the zone, out of the zone really quick. We want to be on the plane of the pitch as long as we can. So he starts going towards his pitch. His pitch is cutting down and in. Down and into him right there, inside a little bit. Look at how tight he stays with his turn. His back elbow is almost right with his belt. As he's turning really tight. His belt buckle is starting to face the pitcher before his barrel gets to contact. Stays really tight. And we start to see his back foot start to go back a little bit this way, almost towards the third base dugout. And that's what the term scissoring comes from, because he's not just rotating straight right here with his foot coming up and down or going forward a little bit. It actually goes backwards. So watch his back foot here. His toe slides backwards. That's not bad. If you have a kid that does that, that's totally fine. There's some hitters that do that and are very successful. But it's important that when they, before contact, that they're getting their belt facing the pitcher. Because a lot of hitters, when they scissor, their hips will just stay closed. Everything just stays closed. And we got to have the hips opening up, the belt buckle being towards the pitcher in order to create the most bat speed. Having those hips rotate, using the core, having it rotate all the way so that you can have that bat come through the zone quickly. And then you can stay on plane better, because if your hips are closed too, you're going to have to go to contact and be out of the zone really quickly. Notice his shoulder tilt as well, how steep that is, because he knows this ball's cutting down and in. If he tries to come in with flat shoulders on this pitch, even right there, this ball's going to be a ground ball to third base. So he knows he's got to have shoulder tilt He recognizes this pitch. He's balanced in his launch position right there. He's recognizing this pitch. It's about 10 to 15 feet away from him, about right now. And then he adjusts to where the pitch is with his shoulder tilt. He really gets up underneath it, for lack of a better term, to get his barrel working like that. Otherwise, if he's flat, he's going to miss it, or it's going to be ground ball to third. It's a good torso tilt or hip hinge, whatever you like to call it. Good shoulder tilt to help this pitch, for him to hit the bottom half of that ball. You can see right there, he's hitting the bottom half. And that allows him to be able to hit it for a home run instead of a ground ball to third. Good extension all the way, and you can see his back foot. He lands after contact. At contact, he's actually pretty weightless. He's like on his toe, right there. Contact is right there. If you look at his back foot, he doesn't really have much weight on it at all. It's just his toes barely touching the ground. And then after contact, he lands and will catch himself. What people might say is squish the bug, but this isn't technically squishing the bug. This is after contact, and that's totally fine if you land like that, because you've generated all this force that's going into your front side that's firming up closer to contact, and then you got to basically catch yourself, because you'll be going backwards a little bit, and that's where that comes into play. But we can't have that back foot squish the bug. I'll show you from the different angle. We can't have that back foot squish the bug during the middle part of the swing. After contact, it's fine for you to catch yourself just like that. See that pass extension there. Here's a side view. Very simple load. Barrel starts working more vertical. Down towards the catcher, small leg kick. Gets to his launch position. Knob is kind of down towards the catcher. Front shoulder down, back shoulder up a little bit. Back elbow is down a little bit, and that's okay too. It's just important that this posture stays good. He's well balanced in between his feet. You'll notice his stride isn't very far. If we draw a line from where he starts to where he finishes, it's not very far, and that's because of how wide he starts. Starts really wide. So a hitter that starts really narrow, they're going to have to stride further to get to a good, wide, balanced position. But since he already starts wide, he doesn't have much distance to have to go to get to this good position, which is about probably half of his body height. Gets to that good launch position. Recognizing it's down and in. See his hips rotating. Barrel keeping it tight. Not releasing his barrel too soon. His barrel works like this. Hips turning hard. Releasing his back foot. Good extension all the way around, and then that's when he gets weight on his back foot, is after contact. He squishes the bug, if you want to call it that, after contact. Not before, not during. Look right here, he's releasing his back foot. So, yeah, overall he has a really good swing, and look forward to keep watching him with the Cubs.